this drive. Went. End zone. Caught. Touchdown. Jordan Matthews. The first touchdown pass of his young career was on the money.
Well, and you got him right there in the slot. He's just going to run a go route. The outside route by Aguilar is just sitting there. Matthews just running one-on-one in man-to-man coverage. A perfect throw by Carson Wentz over the outside shoulder, away from the defender. Matthews with the touchdown.
Tight ends to begin for the Eagles. McNabb going up top and deep for Owens. He makes the adjustment and the catch. Spins against McCutcheon. It's Todd Pinkston. It's Todd Pinkston, excuse me.
This is Pinkston. And when you get a one-on-one matchup with Pinkston, I think you have to take it because so much emphasis is drawn by T.O. by rolling the safeties over to his side of the field.
65-yard pass play, the longest of the season for the Eagles. First and goal. McNabb throws wide open. Touchdown Eagles. Mike Bartram, the third tight end.
On the fifth play of the first quarter, when Harold Carmichael drove off the line, then pivoted back to take a screen pass from Ron Jaworski. The net gain was merely 5 yards, but the result was much grander, for Carmichael had set a new NFL record for consecutive games catching passes with 106 straight. And the 69,000 in the stands, as well as Carmichael's Eagle teammates, roared their appreciation. As a salute to the record-breaking feat of consistency, the game was stopped, and the 6'8 receiver's wife and small child were brought on the field, while Carmichael was presented with a special game ball.
And hello, everyone. Welcome to the Week 11 All About the Birds preview show. Going to be breaking down the 3-5-1 Eagles. We're going to be going to the 6-3 Cleveland Browns. We're going to break down the Sunday's matchup. Just make sure you hit those like, share, retweet buttons. We're gonna get into everything. I know we're not in the best of moods with the way this season's going, everything that's happening, but we're here. We're going to break it down. We're going to get Phil's breakdown of it, mine, and Jeff, who will be joining us shortly. But one thing I want to bring up, the first thing I want to bring up is, I don't know if you saw it, the COVID list for Cleveland. The biggest name on that is the right tackle, Jack Conklin. So that's something that keep an eye on with the Eagles. I know the Eagles are getting healthier. I don't know if you got time to take a look at the press conferences.
No, I looked at 0 press conferences this week. That's my number one go-to. You know, when I prep for the preview show of the week, the first thing I do is I watch all of Doug Peterson's press conferences from Monday to today. I listen to the Jim Schwartz, the Flip, every press conference, the Carson Wentz, every one that I can listen to, and I just did not want to hear one of them. Because I knew we weren't going to hear a single thing. Yeah, I don't believe that at all, Jason. Do not dare put that up on my screen. I'm going to pause this whole show for a second because I think Jason Sullivan's messing with me. My All About the Birds fantasy show co-host messing with me here right now because that would just ruin my night and I just cancel the show right then and there.
Chip has a good thing. You know, I know Doug talked about it's a good idea, roll out Carson, it could work. Well, if the fans are the ones that have to say this or the reporters are the ones that have to bring this up and say it's a good idea, it kind of looks a little bit rough on Doug. But also he says something about the same thing with Jalen Hurts plays, and maybe he should throw the ball. And he goes, that's good. It may work. You know, it's just his press conferences the last couple of weeks have, you know, made a lot of fans scratch their heads. And yeah, Jason was just kidding.
I know. I looked. I was freaking out for a second. I lost my train of thought. So back to what I was saying. No, I did not watch any of the press conferences. No, I did not. And you know what? I put that out there in a tweet today. I wasn't watching the press conferences, and everybody responded with the same thing. You're not missing anything. It was the same old, as expected on the press conferences. You know, they say the same things over and over again, over and over again, over and over again. Got to do a better job and all those things. And it's just beyond belief frustrating because we can see it. We're just nobody podcasters, you know, with 40 people tuning in live, you know, so many people, you know, is he being stupid, snippy, serious, or just plain stupid? I don't know who you're asking about, but I think you're talking about, you know, Doug Peterson and his play calling comment. And yeah, I think he's a little bit of all three of those because if you've noticed, Chip, his press conferences from years past to this year have been majorly more sarcastic and snippy and, you know, almost like he's fed up with the media and the questions. And it's kind of frustrating because I want honest answers. You're not going to get real honest answers all the time, but I want honest answers and questions, you know, from these coaches, and you're just not getting it. And it's kind of frustrating at this point, you know, whether it's the talk about what, you know, Doug said about, you know, rolling them out, you know, or Carson saying he doesn't understand the sloppy practices, then Brandon Graham coming out and saying that we've got to do better in practices. You know, nobody really says anything of real, true meaning or substance in these press conferences. So I got zero of them.
They're all saying what we know. That we know, and we basically.
That's what I was trying to say a minute ago there before Jason ruined my whole mindset with the Ben Simmons trade comment on there. I had to drop everything there for that. No, you know, we are nobody podcasters. You know, we've been doing this for 6-8 months, and we see it. We're just fans that are trying to, you know, take our, you know, passion somewhere. But when the professionals can't see what we can see that's so obvious, then that's a problem. That's a problem with those professionals in those coaching, you know, positions that are being paid big bucks to set up game plans and put players in the right position and to coach them up. And that's a problem right there.
Now, somebody brought something up about, you know, speaking about the defense, and I want to get your tidbit about it, your feeling on it. I think it's pretty good. Something that I would try out is I know you're not the biggest Jalen Mills fan, but if you move Jalen Mills to outside corner, you move Vontae Maddox inside to slot, and you put Will Parks, Kayvon Wallace, and Rodney McLeod at safety. I don't know.
Look, you know, I mean, that might work this year with what personnel you have.
Yeah, this year. I'm not saying the future. I'm talking about just the rest of this year.
We all saw the PFF, and you know what? We all take the PFF gradings a little too seriously. They have their own grading system, and they're very important. Don't get me wrong. They are a piece of the puzzle, but they're not the end-all, be-all, obviously, okay? It's just one thing that we dissect and talk about. You know, well, this is something we'll get into at some point here, Adam, whether they should blow it up or not. You know, Avonte Maddox is having an awful season. What was he ranked? 118 or something like that out of 120 or somewhere in that range?
Around that range.
Yeah, I mean, he was ranked one of the bottom cornerbacks or safeties in the cornerback safeties in the league. Moving him to the slot, which is where I've been saying he should be. He should be your third, fourth cornerback on a team, not your starting outside. He's too small and he's too slow to match up with those 6'2", 6'3", 6'4" wide receivers, which he's being forced to guard. And, you know, you're just setting him up for failure there. So if you want to put Mills back at cornerback, I mean, Mills has already proven, in my opinion, that he's not an outside corner either. Is he better than Maddox at the outside corner position? Maybe a little bit.
Possibly. Maybe.
And if it means getting Kayvon Wallace some playing time at safety, then I'm even more for it. I'm pretty sure Kayvon Wallace was on the field for one play last game. One play, not counting special teams. You know, that kid needs some playing time. We don't know who he is. We don't know anything about Kayvon Wallace because he's gotten no playing time this year. So if that's what it does, then maybe. But Nicole Roby-Coleman, Avonte Maddox, who's the other cornerback that I'm missing? Craven LeBlanc. They've all proven that they can't play regular snaps. They're all dime and nickel cornerbacks. They're not normal defensive, you know, every down cornerbacks and all. And that's the problem. And again, it gets back to Adam saying, should we blow it up and all? I think if you're ever going to talk that talk, you got to start from the top. I know we've all said Howie is not going to get fired after this year. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
But if you're going to blow it up, you got to start at the top because you got to there's a disconnect between the GM and the coaches. And I've talked about it all week long and for a few weeks now. The coaches are running System A. The GM is drafting and signing players for system B. You can't do this up. Somebody's got to change their system or their player person, picking, scheme. Somebody's got to change. But they're both trying to do this different things at the same time. You're putting round holes into square pegs or square pegs into round holes. Mess that line up there. And it just doesn't work. And you have to do a better job of that. And so if you're going to blow it up, you blow the whole thing up. You start at the top, you work your way down, you just clean house. And I know that's my overreaction Monday statement that I've been using all week. But that's kind of where we're at this point, aren't we?
Yeah, and I put a thing on all about the AATBirds.com about how they always talk about it's Howie season, Trader Howie, and how he does. You look at his trades post 2017 after that Super Bowl year. You look at all of his trades. Yes, he's had a couple here and there were okay, but a lot of them really are nothing to really cry home and clap about and think, oh, these. Every time, and the thing is, every time you see a big star available, a guy who wants to be traded, all you do is see the pictures and the memes and the gifs of Howie Roseman with the binoculars, like he's going to make a deal for it and everything. When it's really, he doesn't. Yeah, he may make calls, but he's not making that huge splash trade. And I understand where fans are getting, fans are frustrated. And I know you asked about, Super Bowl winning coach. When was one that's gotten fired real?
Look, I mean, and I know it's an overreaction. I've been a big Doug supporter. I'm not at the point with Doug where I was with Brett Brown of the Sixers, where I was like, hashtag fire Brett Brown. I'm not there yet. But at this point, it's got to be a conversation, doesn't it? With Howie, not just Jim Schwartz is going to be the scapegoat. I think we can all agree. We can all agree that he's going to be the scapegoat at the end of the season. But on the flip side, the discussion has to be at least made that it's time to have that same discussion about Doug Peterson, his entire coaching staff, Howie Roseman, and every single scout and person, analytics person, everybody from top down. And I know everybody loves Deuce Staley, but if you're going to clean house, it means getting rid of Deuce Staley as well. It's draft night, so I'm going to make a lot of comparisons to the Sixers. Chip saying hire an offensive coordinator. Exactly. We don't have an offensive coordinator. You got 9 voices telling Doug Peterson what to do. Steve Park, time to start over.
He's a Seahawks.
How he struggled since lost to Joe Douglas. These are all good comments. But, now all these comments made me lose my whole train of thought again, I need Jeff here to get back to managing the questions and comments and all. Where was I going with this?
No, you're talking about them all because you started getting into Sixers and how they're building.
Oh, yeah. So everybody talked with the Sixers that we needed to move on from the Brian Colangelo. We brought in Elton Brand, whether you liked him or not, but he still had the Brian Colangelo pieces in the front office. Now we've cleaned house. Now we're starting all over. We got Daryl Morey as the head. We're bringing in new people in the front office. We've got the new coach. We're making changes. Great trade today by Daryl Morey and Elton Brand, getting rid of Al Horford. That's something we're going to talk on another show that's not Eagles related, but that's what we need with the Eagles. If you're going to say there's this disconnect between the GM and the coaches, well, something's got to give. In my opinion, it's an overreaction, but it's time, boom, blow it all up, get rid of them all. As Steve Parr says, I put it up already, time to start over.
No, the other thing is you think about it, with Howie Roseman, he's been here how long? And I understand, he was here. Chip Kelly came in. Chip Kelly relegated him to the back closet, janitor's closet, to work with a calculator. And then he wiggled his way back into that GM position. And now, is there disconnect between Doug and Howie? I think that there is. And if that's the case, you can't keep going on. If there's animosity between, the head coach and the general manager, it's going to come to a head and somebody's going to need to be gone. Who that is, I don't know. It's all Jeffrey Lurie. Jeffrey Lurie has to make the decision. And what you saw last year when Jeffrey Lurie got rid of the positional coaches that Doug Peterson didn't want to get rid of.
Which, again, there's that disconnect. Doug Peterson comes out one day and says, those guys' jobs are safe, basically. The next day, we're firing those guys. There's a disconnect issue right there.
Yeah. And I don't want to go too much on that. I want to kind of get into, if you want to start getting into a little bit with the Browns, it is a big game. The rest of this year is going to be a big game because the problem is
it's pathetic to say at 3-5-1, we're in first place, and if we win 2 or 3 more games this year, we still probably win the division. If we beat Washington and Dallas the last 2 weeks even, we still probably win the division. It's pretty pathetic at this point.
Yeah. And the thing is, you go into this matchup, going to Cleveland and looking at this Browns team who get, Nick Chubb, and you have Kareem Hunt, that running game against this defense who's struggled the last couple of weeks, stopping the run.
Yeah. I wrote down some stats on their defense or their offense and their records and all. And so Baker Mayfield, he's got 61% completion percentage. He's got 15 touchdowns and 7 interceptions. Only been sacked 12 times. Now, you did say they've got some issues with their offensive line with COVID and all. So that might be an issue. But it's really crazy. They've got 1,400 yards of rushing offense this year.
Yeah. Their offensive line is very good.
160 yards almost per game rushing the ball. 2, only 196 passing yards a game. Yeah. So the first thing you got to look at in this game is the rush defense of the Eagles. Can they stop Kareem Hunt, Nick Chubb, who's back, and that rushing attack from racking up the yards? Here's another stat that's really interesting on their offense. So they're 6-3, you said, right? They played 9 games this year. 4 times this year, they've scored 10 or less points. And they're 1-3 in those games. 5 times this year, the other games, they haven't scored in the 20s once this year. 4 times, 10 or below, and 5 times, 30 and over. They're 5-0 when they score 30 or more points. When that running game gets going, they're unstoppable. So it's going to come down to, can the Eagles' run defense, which has been a major positive the last 3, 4, 5 years, hasn't been as good lately, but major positive in the past, can they do it? And I'm not confident after last week. Did you see Jim Schwartz's comments on the touchdown with Daniel Jones?
Yeah.
He said, oh, yeah, that was the same exact play. Maybe we should have done a better job, addressing that in practice. That is not what you want to hear from your defensive coordinator, that a team can run the same play 2 games in a row and score 2 big plays in a row.
And you had you were on a bye, so you had over a week to prepare, and they did the same exact play to beat you. And besides Daniel Jones running the ball, what Jim Schwartz said was they only gave up 3.2 yards a carry, taking out Daniel Jones. Now Baker Mayfield can scramble a little bit. He's not that super threat running quarterback, but he can, run the ball if he need be. But the other stat that I saw that was really opened my eyes was Cleveland's only given up 33 quarterback hits this year. The Eagles have given up 88 quarterback hits.
Again, that comes in the same thing with the 12 sacks only given up. Their offensive line is massively, massively better. Yeah. So that's where that whole thing takes into account there.
Now, if their right tackle, Jack Conklin, who was their free agent acquisition from Tennessee that they got this year, who's playing very well, if he cannot go, that's going to be, you're going to watch, because Brandon Graham's going to be on that side, because it's going to wind up being, I think either the rookie's going to switch to right tackle or it's going to be a backup that's going to be playing there. So that's something to keep an eye on. But the number one key, like we said, is that run game. You stop their run and make Baker Mayfield beat you without OBJ, who's hurt. Their weapons, Jarvis Landry.
I got more stats on that run, okay, to give you here. And it goes on stopping the run, okay? Javon Hargrave. We've been really hard on Javon Hargrave, obviously, because he's getting paid a lot of money to do nothing, right? Yep. All right. So this is compliments of Sheila Kapadia. He tweeted this out earlier today. I don't know if you saw it. So we're going to go with the run stat first, okay? 332 players. Hold on. 332 players have played 300 or more snaps of run defense this year. Okay? Does that make sense? Yeah. 332 defensive players have been on the field for 300 plays or more. Okay? Javon Hargrave, out of those 332 players, last in solo tackles against the run. He's got 4 solo tackles against the run this year. 4. What week are we in? We're going into week 11. We've got 9 games, 10 weeks into the season. He's got 4 tackles on 332 plays. Okay? 4 tackles. That's awful.
Yeah, that's
not what you want from a guy that's being paid the money that he's being paid.
I think $39 million. $39 million for somebody getting paid that amount of money, and he was a nose tackle, so his big thing is against the run, key against the run, and then going up against this team and this interior offensive line for Cleveland is very, very good. J.C. Treader is their center, Wyatt Teller and Joel Bitonio. It's a very, very solid interior offensive line. So it's good. The Eagles are going to have their work cut out for them.
So we're really not getting into the pass because we can agree that the bigger key is stopping the run than the pass.
Absolutely.
Because obviously Jarvis Landry, he's going to get locked up one-on-one.
He may throw the ball too.
He's going to get locked up by Slay one-on-one, and Slay's played really well this year. Actually probably pretty underrated because no one's actually looking his way really much. But on the passing, here's another Javon Hargrave stat. Hold on, we got Malik Jackson, Hargrave, totally overpaid. Yeah, I haven't even heard Malik Jackson's name since like the first week or two. So on Javon Hargrave, okay, he is ranked on rushing the passer 89 out of 113 players that have quarterback pressures this year. He's only hit the quarterback 2% of the time. That's 89 out of 113. Also from Wikipedia or Kapadia. I can never say his name. Kapadia, whatever his Wikipedia, whatever his name is. But yeah, I mean, it's just not good. So Javon Hargrave has been a massive, massive disappointment at this point.
No, and that's the key. You need these guys to step up because Fletcher Cox hasn't played great, but he's shown up in some games. That's the reason you signed Hargrave and the reason you have Malik Jackson is to take pressure off of Fletcher Cox that he's not double teamed in, so we can have more one-on-ones. And like look at last week, the first play of the game. What was it? Derek Barnett getting the sack. You're thinking, okay, and then right away they give up the big long crosser right over the middle. So the thing is, stopping the run, trying to get some pressure on Baker Mayfield, making Baker Mayfield beat you. That's going to be it. You're going to need to make Baker Mayfield throw the ball to beat you, because.
But I know you want to talk about the defense and the running game of the Browns and all, but we could control the game.
Exactly.
We could control the game really easily. And it was a conversation. I commented, Ruben Frank commented, and he retweeted my comment. There was a little back and forth between Ruben Frank and me today. And it's about the run pass, the success on the run. I wrote it down. So the Eagles are averaging 4.96 yards per pass, 5.12 yards per run, okay? It hasn't been that split since 1973 with the Bills, okay? That was the last time that a team was averaging more yards per run than pass, okay? But we're running the ball 64% of the time, or passing the ball 64% of the time to 36% run, okay? Now, I got more stats in that. I did more digging. Fourth team ever to throw 600-plus passes and average 5 yards or less per pass. Fourth time ever. Second time ever for a team to average 5.1 yards per rush or more and run the ball less than 24 times a game. Second time ever to have that great of a rushing attack. And the fact that we have that great of a rushing attack and Miles has missed, 2.5 games? Yeah. And we still have those high numbers. That's, again, I talk about using, the square pegs into the round holes. That's also, being stubborn on your play calling and being like, we've got this great, running back. We've got multiple running backs that are at least decent in, Boston Scott. We've got offensive linemen that can run block but can't pass protect. So let's pass the ball. So if you actually run, as my buddy here, one of my followers is saying here, run all day. You can control. I didn't write it down because it was a passing stat and I was really focused on the draft and all tonight, the basketball draft. But someone posted something about the fact that the rankings of the Eagles under Doug Peterson in time of possession. And they're always in the top 5 under Doug Peterson in time of possession. This year, they're in the bottom 3 in time of possession. It's because he's not running the ball. You got linemen that want to run block. Jordan Mailata, I know he didn't play last week, but it's all about push. We could do that, but
Exactly.
yet they're not doing it.
Well, the other thing, if you look at it, Miles Sanders and the way he's played, especially behind that offensive line that has been patched up, and hopefully Sayamalo plays this week. I'm not sure. I know they said they're going to give him, keep giving him a run, make sure there's no setbacks or anything. To put him at left guard, to be able to use
He
him
might be back.
and using the run game. What the biggest thing with Andy was the run game to set up the pass. So with Doug, if you can run the ball with Miles Sanders and getting the 4, 5, 6 yards a clip that they've been getting, you're able to run the ball with him and Boston Scott. You sprinkle him in there, then you can use play action and it's going to work. If you're not committing to the run, the play action is useless because they know you're going to be passing the ball and not running the ball. So leads on the time of possession too, is games that they've had a lot, and I haven't gone back. I want to go back and see it, take a look a little bit into the numbers. Going back on games that they've ran the ball and controlled the clock, like one game that I remember last year was Green Bay when they were able to run the ball on the Packers. Now they didn't control the game; but they controlled the time of possession. They wound up winning the game because of a defensive stat, but they were able to score points and they were able to keep the clock moving and keep the ball out of Aaron Rodgers' hands because they're able to run the ball. That's what you need to do, is keep the ball out of the two running backs, Chubb and Hunt's hands, by you running the ball, you chewing up clock, you getting down there and scoring points. That's another thing they have to do. But they also have to do is score first. They need to get a lead and they need to go with that, like build the momentum to start the game. Kind of like, I don't know if it was the Washington game when they started.
Washington game was the last time they started a game with any momentum. I don't know if they've had a lead or a major lead since the Washington game, which was what week?
Week 1.
Week 1. Exactly.
They haven't played we've said it. They haven't played a complete game. So the problem is they stumble in the first half, and then the second half they have to try and be superhero, and that's an issue. Because
just still having computer problems. So we're tagging in the backup right now.
I'm here, guys. I'm here. What's going on, fellas?
Not much. We're trying to figure out what the Eagles need to do to win this game, or at least not frustrate us some more. Do you think we should bring? We got a question around the bat. Jordan Howard. I have a very strong opinion on Jordan Howard. Johnny, what do you think?
I just don't think you can do that. I don't know.
I don't think Jordan Howard is the answer.
Right.
Jordan
for a really simple reason too. We already don't run the ball enough. There's already not enough carries to go around. Yeah. So adding in another running back.
I don't know if you were listening when I gave the stats on the the run offense, and how it's the first time the second time ever that a team has averaged 5.1 yards per carry or more and run the ball less than 24 times a game.
Sure.
Second time ever in the history of football. So what's Jordan Howard going to do? So
he's going to take carries away from Miles Sanders. That's what he's going to do.
Yeah. Unless you're going to change who's calling the plays, I don't think bringing anybody onto this roster right now makes a difference.
Right, which we know he's not. We know that Doug is calling the plays.
I didn't catch his press conference, but I know about 900 million people tweeted at me today saying that Doug Peterson said he thinks he's doing a good job call playing. And hold on, I wrote something down here. Where was it? He's comfortable with the play calling, and they have a good rhythm. He said something about a good rhythm with the play calling.
Right. I covered this on Monday night. The direct quote is, "I feel good about the plays that have been called. I looked at the game yesterday and felt I was in rhythm."
Yeah, no, you're not in rhythm. Not at all.
No.
So it's the idea that he's not he's not connected to reality. He's not connected to reality. How can you say that you had a good rhythm when all of a sudden you had this revelation midweek that if you roll Carson Wentz out of the pocket, those plays have success? It was like this epiphany that the guy had.
Well, there was another thing that
you
they
should have hired
said
an offensive coordinator. Yeah, I mean, you probably should have fired last year's offensive coordinator that your head coach gave your job support, or gave him the vote of confidence. When one of my managers at the pizza shop says, how did the night go? And I go, you guys did a good job tonight, or you guys stunk tonight.
Right.
You give a guy a good vote of confidence, and then you fire him the next day. It's who's going to want to be your offense coordinator when that's the situation?
Right, exactly.
Exactly. And
okay.
The other issue is, I saw Doug talking about his play calling and the rhythm. And then I don't know if you saw the Jalen Hurts thing about, oh yeah, when someone brought up how he should pass the ball more. And he's like, oh, I haven't thought of that. That's a good, like what the reporters aren't the coaches. You're the coaches. And there was another report that maybe he's listening to too many voices. There's too many voices.
What happens when you have 9 people in the offensive playroom? You don't have an offensive coordinator. And the one thing the Eagles have been very good at, even during the Andy Reid era, is a lot of stuff stays in-house. You saw it slowly last year with we assume Alshon Jeffries, was the one that was the leak and everything. We don't know that for sure. Could have been Malcolm Jenkins. That's my little side piece. I think it might have been him and everything. But you see Carson Wentz say today in his press conference saying that I don't know what this sloppy talk is about practice. Then you see Brandon Graham come out and say, yeah, we got to do a better job in practice. And then Fletcher Cox said something complete. You can kind of see the cracks in the armor.
You had Darius Slay.
Culture that's being built or had been built here. It's starting to fall apart. And it's because of, again, I've used this like 9 times in the last 2 weeks, the disconnect, the GM, the coaches to the players. It's all falling apart before our eyes.
And no accountability.
Right. And two more to add to that.
That is true on that too.
Right. 2 more to add to that. You have Darius Slay saying that he does push-ups every time he makes a mistake at practice, and some of the mistakes that were made at practice happen on the field. And then you had Jalen Mills this week saying that the Eagles locker room is pissed off and they haven't played a full game together. So everyone is saying these different things. Who is the one voice leading this team?
And honestly, Doug Peterson as the head coach should be, but he's not actually. And again, MKents09, thanks for checking in again. The Cowboys, this is how Jason Garrett ran his team. And we all know how well Jason Garrett ran his team. He was the Al Horford of the NFL, the hand clapper and everything.
Captain Clappy.
Yeah, he was Mr. Clappy and everything. So here's on the discipline, Johnny. Okay. And I'm all for discipline. I want coaches. That's why I love Doc Rivers coming to the Sixers, because the one thing the Sixers were missing was discipline. Ben Simmons turns over the ball 9 times and a half. You sit him down, or you make him run laps around the gym. Whatever. I'm just spitfiring on that. Fletcher Cox, Jason Peters missed practice today. Why? Because of rest. You had a bye week, then you had rest. You played like crap last week, and you're getting the first day of practice this week as rest. I don't care how old you are. If we played as crappy as we did last week, lost a game to a team we should have clearly beat, every single player would have been – I know you can't make them like old days, wear pads 9 days in a row. You can't run 4 practices a day anymore. You got to work inside the confines of the collective bargaining agreement. But every single healthy player would have been out there practicing in full pads today.
You can't ask him to do 9, but you can ask him to do 1. You can ask them to do 1 practice and the game where you're playing a team that is the Cleveland Browns. They're 6-3 now?
6-3.
6-3. So you're playing against a team that is on paper drastically better than the team that you played last week. And you already had Monday and Tuesday off, at least on the field, because it's film study and you ease back into it. And then
they're required to give them a day off on Monday. You're not allowed to request anybody to come in unless they are on the injured list on Monday. If you play on Sunday, they're required to get 1 day off there.
Everybody's on the injured list.
A film day. You're only allowed to practice Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Only 2 of them are allowed to have pads on out of those 3 days. Saturday is only film study at home because of COVID, and if you're injured. That's the whole practice structure of a week right now in the NFL. And that's fine. That's what the players and the owners voted on. But you know what? No one's sitting out for rest in my team if I played like crap last week. You're all working and you're all playing. And that's where Doug Peterson, again, is losing. I mean, he's always been a player's coach, but he's losing that. He's losing that locker room. Someone tweeted at me a couple days ago, this is slowly turning already into the last year of Chip Kelly, where he completely lost everybody and was fired before the end of the season. That's what this season is kind of if you're at a fork in the road, we're at that fork in the road, and we're really close to going the Chip Kelly route at this point.
It's turning into the same end of the Andy Reid career too.
I was just about to bring that up because you look at that season and they start out 3-1, and the 3 wins that they had were all one score. They're lucky they even won those games. It's kind of feeling like it is this year. Those 3 wins that they had, all those wins could have been losses, and then they just went on that spiral out of control in 2012, and then just kept losing, and then Vic got hurt, and then they had Rolls come in. There was just 4-12, and then goodbye. Especially it ended with that Giants debacle. But
and again, you say about the Browns, you're playing the Browns, who are 6-3, and I brought it up before we brought you on, Chip. They have 4 times this year the Browns have scored 10 points or less. The other 5 games, they scored 30 or more points. Yeah. So you could get either the worst team in the league, the Browns, or you can get the most amazing offense in the world in the Browns. Okay? Stefanski has done quite a job. Even 6-3, they're not considered Super Bowl contenders. They're playoff maybe kind of team and all. They might finish 10-6, 11-5 and all. But Stefanski has done an amazing job turning that roster around, at least to an extent, considering he's still got Baker Mayfield, which is another whole subject, whether you like Baker or not.
A winner. The guy's a winner, though. He figures out a way to dig deep and
he hasn't won enough. He's done more commercials than he has won games.
Hey, his commercials are outstanding.
They're awful. I hate
those. They are incredible. I find myself laughing all the time in those commercials.
That's another whole subject and everything. But yeah, you need to be ready. Because again, like I said, we are 2 or 3 wins away in our last 6 games from winning the division and still having a home playoff game. We could still win this division with 6 wins. I'm totally over being positive. But
do we want
the little bit of positivity I've left in me is saying we could still host a playoff game.
But do we want to?
I do, because I own a pizza shop, and a home playoff game means a lot of money for me. Okay, this is streaming live on the Fox's Pizza Den Facebook page right now. Okay, Adam, who checks in all the time, he is one of my customers. Okay, I know
he's a big fan of mine.
He said you had a great show on Monday,
and too. I appreciate that.
And I put you on the Fox's Pizza Den Facebook page. Okay, all right. He loves us. Okay, it's good for business. So I want the playoffs. You know, my money, the Sunday sales. So yes, I want the playoffs.
All right. So then let me ask this question, and I've had this conversation with you guys before. Are we building for this year, or are we building for a dynasty type run like we had in the 2000s?
Or I gotta put a sub. I gotta ask a question on your question.
Okay.
Are you asking us as the host, or are you asking us as if we were thinking like Howie and Doug?
I am asking as Eagles fans and host of an Eagles podcast.
Okay. We are building towards the future at this point.
Right. What is the better goal to aim for?
The better goal is to aim for the playoffs, because you always want to. You never want to root for losing.
Of course not.
You don't. And you've got a lot of young players on this team.
Right.
That playoff experience, even if it's a loss, could help. Carson has still not played in the playoffs other than, what was he in for 4 plays last year before he got hurt? Whatever it was, 5 plays. So the playoff experience helps. But in draft picks and in the future, losing does big picture help this team. But I can never personally be one that supports losing.
Oh, me either. No, not at all.
Donnie, you?
Except my concern is by winning the NFC East with 6 wins, which is it's embarrassing. It's like, the participation trophy of the NFL. But by winning it with 6 wins, does anything change?
Yes, because Jim Schwartz will be gone if we win 6 games. What?
Yeah. I think no matter what, Jim Schwartz.
Yeah, I think we can go to the Super Bowl and lose in the Super Bowl, and we still fire Jim Schwartz at the end of the year. But that's not enough change.
My take is, I don't root for losing. I understand people want to get a better draft pick. People want to get a top 5 pick or a top 6, 7 pick. Oh, you have a better chance to getting a superstar when you're up that high. I know Jeff has said that multiple times. But do you really have the confidence that they're going to be able to pick the right person up at 6, 7, or 8? Like I've said, if they get that pick, And my pick on that would be a linebacker, would be Micah Parsons if he's available. They would never do that. So at that point, the way I look at it is I want the playoffs every year. That's just how I've always been.
Sure, of course.
I understand they're not, they haven't been as talented as we thought, but I always go every offseason. I take a look at the draft prospects, take a look at all the players available, the team needs. The biggest need on this team, in my opinion, to go, if you look at the draft, go in the first round, it's got to be cornerback. CB number 2, you need an outside cornerback. This first round, the draft is going to be, you're going to have at least, as I look right now, possibly 6 first-round cornerbacks. Right. So I think that even if they make the playoffs and were to lose in the first round, have the 19th pick, they can still pick a player that's going to be impactful at that position. So, and the thing is, you get into the playoffs, you're hot at the end of the year, or you win a few games and they're fully healthy and Carson starts clicking. They find something. You never know going in there. You just don't know. They could wind up losing the rest of the games. The thing is, you just don't know. But the way I see it is I shoot for the playoffs. You make the playoffs, make the wild card. You get a home playoff game. If you win that, you just don't know. Because look at 2008.
Dude, look, I mean,
odds against them. I know it's a different team. I know different.
You
players.
Don't know.
You never know.
Honestly, will this team, if it makes the playoffs, beat any team that's got a winning record in the playoffs right now?
Right, and
you look at the teams: Seattle, Arizona. The wild card potential teams: Seattle, Arizona. Who else? Green Bay. Who else might we play in the first round of the playoffs?
Seattle if they keep losing out.
The Saints, because the Bucks might win that division. There's a lot of teams. Heck, I mean, I know they're not really in the playoff position right now, but they're about the same as us record-wise. I wouldn't trust us against the freaking Carolina Panthers right now.
No, and the question that we just asked, I wasn't looking so much as the draft pick because we're going to draft wherever we draft, and I don't trust Howie no matter what. At this
I don't trust if we have the number 1 pick. I wouldn't trust Howie.
Right. That's the point where one of us gets drafted, and we're like, okay, cool.
Dude, I said you asked something about linebackers earlier.
Yes, I did.
I said you haven't seen what me, Johnny, and Jeff look like. We could all play. Well, we couldn't play linebacker, but we couldn't be much worse than the linebackers out there on the field.
Listen, we could all play nose tackle. I mean, we all got that quarantine poundage on. We just got to clog that hole up. But my point is that if we make the playoffs, does that take away from people looking at this team with really open eyes and holding somebody accountable for this bad product that we have put out this season?
See, you say something about holding accountable, and it's really interesting. And I've talked about this, before, all about the Birds, before taking this stuff seriously and all. That Jeffrey Lurie doesn't care about money with the Eagles.
Right.
I mean, people think he does, but he really doesn't. He cares about one thing, his image. I mean, that's why he's got an Oscar to his name. I mean, he's all about his Hollywood, elitist type friends and stuff like that. He didn't even want to buy the Eagles. He wanted to buy the Patriots. Not everybody knows that. He made a bid and he got outbid on the Patriots by, Kraft, okay? He just cares about being able to hold a Super Bowl trophy up over, his friends with his rich people and, that elite class that none of us will ever see. You know what I mean? So, which is why I'm not sure why he doesn't hold people, why he's so loyal and doesn't hold people more accountable. Because it makes no sense. Like, he wants the trophy, and that's all he cares about. But yet he's so loyal to people that don't bring him trophies. I've never been able to figure those 2 points out and why he is the way he is.
So I like one big thing that I like about Jeffrey Lurie is you look at some of these other owners and people when the game, Arthur Blank, he's the one that comes to my mind.
Okay.
As soon as they start looking like they have the win before the Falcons blow their lead, he makes his way down.
Sideline like this.
He's on the sideline like, oh, look at the product I did. Jerry Jones, you always see Jeffrey Lurie, you see the shots of him, but his times are preseason, and he gets his State of the Eagles at the end of the season.
I was just thinking of the State of the Eagles.
Besides that, it's all based on what the product is, and he stays out of it. I love that about Jeffrey Lurie.
Yeah. But see, just a counterpoint, I like the Arthur Blank comparison, but I hate the Jerry Jones comparison because Jones is the GM of that team still.
Right.
And Jones has I know he's been doing it a long time, so he's got experience per se, but he's not a football mind. Arthur Blank holds his coaches and GMs accountable. That's why they burn through him.
Mm-hmm.
But yet he doesn't make the final decision on any of them, which that's what you want. You want somebody like Arthur Blank that's going to hold, Howie, you've screwed up the draft how many times? You're done. You're not going to get put aside. You're done. Jerry Jones, he's going to just make picks. Like, he didn't need to pick CeeDee Lamb this year. He did it to screw
us over.
You know what I mean? And that's not what you want out of your owner. You want an owner that's involved, like Arthur Blank, but not involved with the decision making to an extent. You just want somebody that's holding somebody accountable. And that's what we don't have with this team. And that's the problem. And I don't understand why, because like I said, Jeffrey Lurie wanted his Oscar more than he wanted a Super Bowl trophy. But Super Bowl trophy was number 2 on his list. And he wants that to like rub in the nose of his elitist friends.
Mm-hmm.
But I just don't get it. I just don't. Johnny, nothing.
I think Jeffrey Lurie is
sing on.
I think Jeffrey Lurie is involved, but he's not involved in a way that, like, I just feel like Jeffrey Lurie and Harry Roseman have such a close relationship that I just don't think Lurie's gonna. I think the way Roseman is gonna leave is if he gets put in a different position. I don't think they're gonna fire him, and that's the thing. I just think that Howie is so protected because of Jeffrey, and I think that's a huge issue because I just don't see them parting ways. It's going to be the coach. It's going to be the defensive coordinator. It's going to be those guys because their relationship is so close. And I think that's a major problem. If you can't realize that somebody making personnel decisions isn't making the right personnel decisions, you can't keep firing everyone else and not hold someone accountable.
So we've gotten off topic. The topic of the show is always the week preview show. The Browns, Eagles is the topic. Me and Johnny both said, stopping the run.
Sorry, I just wanted to share that from.
Fixtures are on the clock. Oh,
just wanted to share.
Let me know when that pick happens. And
I'm watching. That's why I keep doing the weird.
I told you I don't have a TV in my office here. I don't know, and I don't want to mess up my internet feed right now by watching it in the background. So we've talked. Stopping the run.
Mm-hmm.
Is a key to the victory. Do either of you two, I'll ask Chip first, but do you guys have any other keys to victory this week? Chip?
So for me, it's a game plan has got to be called that allows Carson Wentz to do what he does best. We knew when he was signed, when we drafted him out of college, that he was an athletic, mobile quarterback, right? We knew that. And for some reason, and I said this on my show on Monday, and I put in one of the comments today, the plays that are being called are for the players that Doug wants and the players that Jim Schwartz wants, but not for the players that they have. So something's got to give. Either you bring in the players that will run the offense that you want, or you go, you know what? Carson Wentz is a good mobile quarterback. Let's get him outside the pocket. Jalen Reagor's got speed. Maybe get him moving pre-snap like they did on that 4th down play and then never did again. If you're going to insist that Alshon Jeffrey be on the field, you're going to target him more than once. You have to pick something that hits your strengths and then attack it. Right now, our strength is running the ball. So you have to run the ball. Right now, our strength is not Carson Wentz thinking and reading a field. So you have to do quick passes and pre-snap motion and get the ball into the receiver's hands, the playmaker's hands quickly.
Mm-hmm.
You got to score more points right now because I don't trust our defense. Like you said, it's either 10 points or 30 points that the Browns put up. So that means just, mathematical skills here. We need to score about 20 points somewhere in that range to win this game.
Exactly.
So the way
Mackey is the pick of the Sixers is being reported, just so we know. Yeah, that's what Jason says. I'm hoping that's accurate because I put it up there on the screen and all.
But
well, I just know that I'm still hoping RJ Hampton, but that's a different conversation.
Yeah, Adrian Wojciechowski has not tweeted it yet, so it's not official till the Woj bomb happens. Sorry, Johnny, what were you going to say?
My key to the game, the other key that I have is it goes with Wentz, but they need to expose Sendejo. So he's a starting safety for Cleveland. Grant Delpit got hurt his Achilles, so now Sendejo is now the starting safety. I looked it up. He's allowed a 77% completion percentage, 27 out of 35, for 436 yards, 5 touchdowns, 157.9 quarterback rating, and he has a 13.2 missed tackle percentage rate. You need to focus on whether it's Dallas Goedert, whether it's, your running backs out of the backfield, focus on trying to expose him in the passing game. Now, I know we have to run the ball. I'm saying run the ball, but run the ball to set up the pass. But expose Sendejo. He's a super weak point in that secondary for Cleveland. And the numbers show it.
He is 10 for Jeff's been having trouble with his computer all night. He wants to get some voice in on this show. 10 for 42 the last 3 games. 0 for 9 the last game on third down. It's not good enough.
No.
Not good enough at all. It's another key. I mean, I had a backup plan of saying that too. Jeff stole it there with the comment. But it is official because his Wikipedia page has been already updated that Tyrese Mackey is a Sixer. 6'3" point guard from Kentucky. Just so everybody know that's a Sixers fan out there. Shams reported it. Wikipedia already updated it because, people are updating it. We'll get to our score predictions, Adam, in just a few minutes here. We got to get to so we do our locks of the week, the Ulecka Locks. We don't got Jeff here, so we don't have the sound effects for it. So we're picking games.
I have the record
spread. If you want to throw 3 out there, Chip, we'll let you do it. Johnny, why don't you give us Ulecka Locks of the week?
So last week we did not have a very good week at all. Jeff,
you know what though? On a side note, because I've been having such a bad week betting, I did not place a single bet last week, so I didn't lose anything. I know as a bettor, when you're having a bad week, sometimes it's good to step back. You know what I mean, and just let the games come to you a little bit and stop worrying so much. So even though I didn't have a good game on these, I only care about the ones I bet money on, and I didn't bet any money last week.
But I'm sure that is great advice that Jason and Josh would give you as well, which tomorrow night
they have. We talk about that all the time on our show. It's all about, there's a way to bet games. There's a way to play fantasy when everybody's going to go through a bad stretch. And the key to it is to know when you're going through the bad stretch and not stretch your pocket too far. And also sometimes know when to step back. That's why Josh didn't do his, backdoor cover article last week, because he was struggling and he didn't want to over push it or anything. So you take a step back sometimes. And that's what I did last week. So we had a bad week last week. No doubt about it.
So last week, Jeff was 1-2. So his overall record is 14-16. I was 0-3. So drops my record to 14-15-1 against the spread. And then Phil, you were 0-3 as well, which drops you to 11-19. Now our overall records for our pick'em picks. Now I know Phil's trying to catch up, so he made a lot of against different.
I'm just making picks at random to go against you guys.
So those are just, but Jeff was 9-5, which brings his record to 94-47. He leads us 3. I was 10-4, so I have a 90-51 record. And Phil, you were 7-7, which drops you to 85 and 56.
And I know Chip, because he's like this every week, was 8-6 last week.
4 straight weeks
every single week.
Straight week. And that's always 8-6. That's just straight games too. That's not anything having to do with as
Josh said, trust the process. It's a good dual meeting tonight, with the betting points there and the Sixers draft. So Johnny, what are your locks this week?
So my locks for the week, the first one I have, it's a pretty big number. I was bouncing back and forth between it, but the Jets are probably going to play Joe Flacco, and I'm going to go Chargers. I know it's -9.5. I know it's a huge number. I think they're going to get the W.
What happened to us getting on the same page with the numbers? FanDuel doesn't have it at 9.5. We talked about this last week, the week before, and the week before, and 10 weeks before that.
My question is, does it factor in his new haircut?
See, that's why I made my locks go against Johnny here, just so you know. So anyway, so you got the Chargers -9. That's fine. I'll let you pick 9.5. because I got him at less than that. So that's better for me. So
That's fine.
-9.5. Go for it.
I have the Patriots coming off of the big win against the Baltimore Ravens. I have them -2.5 over Houston. I know, Houston with Deshaun Watson. I know they have some talent on there, but I just feel that New England's going to ride the momentum. I'll trust Bill Belichick. And then my last one, I have Tennessee at +6.5 against Baltimore. I just think the Baltimore, really, their run defense is not very good. It hasn't been the last couple of games, and I feel Derrick Henry is going to be able to, get the ball rolling. He hasn't had a great game in a couple of games. I think this game he may get that. So I think Tennessee +6.5 on that. Those are my locks. So the Chargers, New England, and Tennessee.
All right. So I'm going the opposite on the Chargers game. I got the Jets +8.5. Okay. First off, the haircut.
Oh,
the Justin Herbert haircut. That was the first reason I picked it. No, I don't remember. And I was thinking this before the show started. What was those little pads that people used to rub on their pimples? It was like in the, Chip, you're older like me. There was the commercials big in the mid 90s and all. It was like
Stridex, the Stridex pad of Stridex.
Yeah, he looks like somebody that would have been in one of those commercials now. Okay, and he's a quarterback in the NFL.
Joe Flacco's probably starting younger than my middle school students.
Dude, I mean, I actually might have uglier pictures than that in my thing on me, but we'll keep them locked in my phone far, far away. But the Chargers have struggled to put games away. The Chargers have lost a lot of close games. How few times has a team gone 0-16? Once, twice. Doesn't happen often. Okay. This is the week, if any week, for the Jets to win. I'm not saying outright. Jets cover the 8.5. If you want to give me 9.5, Johnny, I'll take the 9.5 with no problem and all. But the Jets and the 8.5 points, I'll take. And I'm thinking about it. I'll wait till tomorrow night when I talk to Josh on the Fantasy and Gambling Show. I might make that an outright win prediction. Not sure yet. I'm not saying it officially. Jets might win that game. Pick number 2. Dolphins are -3.5 on the road against the Broncos. It looks like Mark Rippon, Redskins quarterback's nephew, might be starting the game again. He's terrible. We've seen that before. So I'm going to go to Dolphins. What?
Boise State alum.
Boise State. The only thing they're good for is the color of their turf. I'm tired of Boise State. So Dolphins are winning that. No problem. Clearasil. This is what it was. Clearasil. Daily Face Watch. Thank you, Jason. He looks like Justin Herbert looks like he belongs in a Clearasil commercial. I'm glad somebody remembered what I was thinking of there.
But the before he used it.
Before a picture. And then he does the Clearasil, and then he's perfect again. So yeah, I love that. So we got the Jets +8.5, the Dolphins -3.5. And because I really struggled to pick another game, and I'm just going to go off of stats alone, I am picking, I know it kills me, the Washington football team -1.5 against the Bengals. Everybody knows I love Alex Smith. I love his story. He threw for close to 400 yards last week in his first start since breaking his leg. And as long as it's not hurting the Eagles, I'm going to cheer for the Redskins or the Washington football team. Sorry, Washington football team all year, as long as it doesn't affect the Eagles. I love Alex Smith. The Bengals have also, just like the Chargers, struggled to put games away this year. 1.5 points. It's pretty much a pick 'em. So I'm going to take the Bengals there, or the Washington football team there over the Bengals. Chip, do you have any lines there that you like?
So I don't have any of the lines. I'm just going to pick games, and you guys can tell me if the lines make any kind of sense.
Okay. I got to pull it up on my phone, but sure.
Right. So I'm assuming that the line on the Steelers-Jags game is obnoxious.
My phone wants to know if I want to run an update. I'm going to say no.
Okay.
So we're bringing it up here real quick.
My
phone sucks, but we're slowly bringing it up.
I think it was 10.5 last time I looked, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, but you're not using what we've been using on this show for 12 weeks and all.
So to keep the flow of it going,
just keep going. I'll get you the line in a second.
Yeah, the Steelers are going to win that game, probably by a lot.
Okay.
So no matter what the line is, I'm going to pick the Steelers on it.
And I like that game. I remember looking at the line, and the Steelers have the only time I've bet the Steelers this year, which was like 3 or 4 times, they've burnt me on the line every time because I bet against them multiple times. So I stayed away from it because I think they're 7-1 or 8-1 against the spread this year.
Right.
And they've burnt me when I've gone against them. So I've got it up here. Let's see. The Pittsburgh game, it's -10 against the Jaguars.
I think the Steelers easily are going to outscore by 10.
Again, the last time I picked them double digits, it was against the Bengals. They were -13.5 against the Bengals, and the Bengals almost beat them. So
that Bengals team is tricky, though.
That's why I stayed away from the Steelers game, because I love that line, but they've hurt me this year, so I'm staying away from it.
So great segue is going straight up and down. I'm going the Bengals over Washington.
Okay, it's a 1.5 point line.
All right, so
Washington's the favorite.
Okay, so Bengals are going to win that game.
Okay.
And then third game, again, for me, just going straight up and down, and then you can tell me where the lines make sense. I think that the Falcons are going to beat the Saints.
I was really close on that one too. It's at 4.5 points right now. They're the underdog. The Falcons are plus 4.5.
Okay.
If that was +3, I would jump all over it. Plus 4.5, I'm just scared.
I was close to picking that game.
I just think with Jameis Winston coming in, and they're going to try to force as many snaps to Taysom Hill as possible. It's going to be that. It's going to be the same thing. It's going to be the same thing that the Eagles deal with, which is, well, this is our quarterback, but we have X number of plays for our backup gadget player. Let's make sure he gets in and break the rhythm.
Which we don't bet the over-unders on the Ulecka Locks, but I love the over 50 in that game. Okay. 50 is the over-under. That game is going to be a high-scoring game.
Oh,
Jameis Winston has shown when he was with the Buccaneers, he can throw the ball. He can sling it. Michael Thomas is back and healthy. But man, you're all the games you picked were like my second round of picks that I was looking at. When I do my teaser bets or my parlays, I'm playing some of those. You know what I mean?
I aim to help. You're welcome.
They're good plays there for sure. All right, so we've hit the hour mark. We're at an hour, 2 minutes, and 4 seconds. Wow. Clearasil, like Jason said, made an appearance on our show. I haven't had a sponsor. We don't have many sponsors. Maybe I'll get a Clearasil sponsor on this show. But we need to close the show, as always, with our locks, with our final score prediction. Johnny, what do you got the Eagles-Browns score as this week? Because, obviously, Adam said somewhere before here. There he is, score predictions.
So going back and forth with this. I think it's gonna be a close game. The one way I put it is when the Eagles are backed up against the wall, when Doug Peterson's backed up against the wall, it's everything's up against it. The Eagles seem to come out on top. I didn't want to pick the Eagles to win this game. I was super leaning heavily when we were making our regular picks. I left that one blank and I thought about it because I was going to pick the Browns. I went the Eagles 24-20. I think they're going to go to the run. I think they're going to run the ball well. I think they're going to be able to put enough points on the board, and I think they'll be able to stop Cleveland's running attack. I think they're going to get the W. I'm going to go 24-20.
Chip, what do you got this week as your final score prediction?
So I am thinking a lot of the same things that Johnny's just saying. Look, I assume that they're going to run the ball. I assume that they're going to make the right play calls. I assume that they're going to come out with a fire in the first half. Because then what has consistently happened for the past couple seasons is when the second half hits, I keep hearing we're a second half team. But what happens is Doug goes back to his tried and true, this is what I call, which right now is against what works for the Eagles. So I think in the first half we'll be up. I think we lose it in the second half. I'm going to go 28-17 Browns.
Okay. Now, I got a different reason why I'm picking my game. So, again, I said it before the show started. Okay, where's my guy? Go back to my notes here. 4 times the Browns have scored 10 or less points. They're 1-3 in those games. 5 times they've scored 30 or more. They haven't scored in between 10 or 30 points once this year. Okay? The Eagles have only given up 30 points or more 3 times. The Steelers and Ravens, who are heads and shoulders above the Browns, and the Rams, who we don't know who the Rams are really at this point. Okay? I don't think the Browns can score 30 points on our defense. I just don't. I think our defense is good enough to keep them under 30. So the numbers say pick the Eagles. So I'm just doing it. Originally, I was going to say just pick the Eagles just for shits and giggles. But because of those numbers, I'm going to pick the Eagles 2017. I don't know. Why not? I've been negative all week. Overreaction Monday all week, so we're going to be positive as we go into the game. Jeff, we haven't seen him. He's tried to log into the show about 4 times tonight. It has not worked for him. Him and his computer issues. The guy's got $14,000 in wrestling belts, but he's got a computer from Gateway from 1987 still. So he's got the Eagles losing 21-17 to the Browns. So we've had Clearasil and we've had Gateway mentioned in this show. Sponsors, hit me up, And Adam says Eagles 21-20. Hey, we're back from the overreaction negative Monday to the power of positivity Wednesday here.
Listen, I want to be wrong. I would love to be wrong.
Jeff says I'm not wrong about his comparison about his computer.
He still got the Oregon Drive floppy disk.
Yeah, he still plays Oregon Trail on his computer. That's about the only game that works.
There you go, another sponsorship.
Exactly. I'm throwing out all the 80s and 90s references here. That's what you get when you have somebody at least close to 40 years old on the show. All right, that's all I got. But I'm gonna while you wrap the show up, Johnny, I'm gonna throw up some of our sponsors up on the screen. We got a new one. He doesn't pay us anything, but my buddy swore I would not throw it up there. Strata Landscaping, Cole Manny, my boy. He says he watches. If he sees this, if he comments, I'll know he's watching, but most likely he's not watching. You wrapping it up? I say wrap it up.
Thank you to all our listeners, all the people commenting. At Last Out Media, at Athletes Hub, at Heat Ratio Sports. We want to thank all of them. We just want to thank everyone that's listening, commenting, liking on our Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. You can follow us at AAT Birds. If you want to write for us, you want to join the team, you surely can. Just send one of us a message, whether it's Jeff, Phil, or I, or even the All About the Birds page. Send one of us a message. We'll get back to you. And to join the team.
I mean, look, you can be like Chip.
Pretty special.
Chip's world famous now. Chip's got his own show on Monday nights at 6:30. 6:30 on Monday nights. Which he crushed it on it. Great job.
That was a lot of fun. I appreciate that. But we got Monday nights, and I'll just tease
on your show on Monday night. What are you talking about next Monday?
Well, I'm so glad you asked. We're going to discuss whatever happens on Sunday because that's going to dominate a lot of the conversation. But then we're going to get into what the Sixers roster looks like at the time, because currently we have the draft going on. And what something I found on Twitter was the official Hall of Fame ballot for Major League Baseball.
I shared that. You probably saw it.
Yeah, and so having a debate about which 10 guys you would pick based on the list available. And does the steroid era deserve to get in? Phil, your thoughts?
I'll give you a tease. No, steroid era does not belong in. And honestly, if I had a vote this year, which I'll never have a vote, no one will ever give me a vote, I would never vote for any of the steroid guys. I've been pretty clear on that. But I would, if anything, just to make a statement, because I was a stan of Bobby Abreu before stans existed. Right. I would throw a vote at Bobby Abreu, and that's it on my ballot. Just to make a point, Yeah, he won multiple fantasy baseball leagues because people laughed at me for drafting him.
So yeah, that's Monday nights at 6:30. It's called Chips and Dish, and we talk all sports. So feel free to tune in. It's right back wherever you're watching it right now, and it was a good time last time. We're gonna have some people come on and debate with me next time.
And you're gonna have Phil's show tomorrow night, 8:30. The Fantasy and Gambling Show with Josh and Jason. So they're going to break down some of the games this weekend and where to put your money. So you can definitely want to tune into that. Tune in after the game on Sunday. We're going to have the post-game show. So we'll be live there with Phil and Jeff. We'll be live, and we'll be here to break it all down. Hopefully it's an Eagles W, but like I said, we want to thank everyone. You can follow Phil at Beard of Knowledge. You can follow myself at JohnnyU9322. You can follow Jeff at Jeff Warner NFL. You can follow Chip at Chip for the Birds. And with that, the way we always end it, go Birds.
Go Birds.